The phone rang at 2:47 a.m., jolting me from the deepest sleep I'd had in months. I should have known right then that my life was about to implode. "Peyton, honey, thank God you answered." Mom's voice cracked through the speaker, thick with tears. "I didn't want to wake you, but I couldn't wait until morning. My name is Peyton, and up until that phone call, I thought I had everything figured out. 29 years old, MBA from Northwestern, and exactly 18 hours away from signing the contract that would launch me into the stratosphere of international consulting. Singapore, 6 figures, the works. Mom, what's wrong?" I sat up, already reaching for the lamp. It's bad, sweetheart. The doctors ran more tests after that appointment last week, and she dissolved into sobs that made my chest tighten. "What did they say?" 6 months, maybe less. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The cancer spread faster than they expected." The room spun. Mom had mentioned feeling tired lately, some doctor visits, but cancer? Terminal cancer? "I'm coming home," I said without thinking. No, you have that big job opportunity. I won't let you." "Mom, stop. I'm coming home." 3 hours later, my sister Soleil called. "Did Mom tell you?" she asked, skipping any greeting. "Yeah, I can't believe it." "She's trying to be brave, but she's terrified. Dad's completely falling apart. He can barely function." Soleil's voice carried that familiar edge of drama she'd perfected since childhood. "Someone needs to be here full time. You know how she gets when she's scared. She won't eat, won't take her medications properly." "What about you?" "I can't just abandon my career, Peyton. I'm finally getting somewhere at the agency. Besides, you're better at the caretaking stuff. You always were." Better at caretaking. Right. Translation: I was the responsible one who always cleaned up everyone else's messes. "The Singapore job." "Will there be other jobs?" "Yes." "Will there be another mom?" "No." Soleil's voice sharpened. "Look, I know it sucks, but family comes first. That's what you always say, right?" She had me there. I'd been preaching family loyalty since we were kids, always the one mediating their fights, covering for their mistakes, making sure everyone else's needs came first. 2 days later, I was on a plane to Chicago, my Singapore contract unsigned and my apartment sublet. The company wasn't thrilled, but they understood. Family emergency, terminal illness, these things happen. Dad picked me up at the airport looking like he'd aged 5 years in 2 weeks. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his shirt wrinkled. "Thank you for coming home," he said, pulling me into a hug that felt desperate. "I don't know what we would have done without you." The house looked exactly the same, Mom's pristine decorating, not a throw pillow out of place. She was in the kitchen when we arrived, wearing her favorite yellow sundress and looking fine. Tired maybe, but not like someone with 6 months to live. "My baby girl," she said, wrapping me in her arms. "I'm so sorry you had to give up that job for me." "Don't be sorry, I'm exactly where I need to be." The first week passed in a blur of doctor appointments, prescription pickups, and grocery runs. Mom seemed to have good days and bad days, but mostly she just seemed fragile, scared. I threw myself into taking care of everything: cooking, cleaning, managing her medications, driving her to treatments. Soleil visited twice, both times for less than an hour. She was swamped at work and dealing with her own stress about Mom's situation. Dad went to the office every day but came home exhausted, claiming he couldn't concentrate on anything. "It's such a relief having you here," Mom said one evening as I brought her tea. "I can actually rest knowing someone responsible is handling everything." 3 weeks in, I was doing laundry at midnight when I heard voices from the living room. Mom and Soleil were video chatting, and I could hear them clearly through the thin walls. "She's such a sucker," Soleil laughed. "I can't believe she actually fell for it." "Shh, keep your voice down," Mom whispered, but she was giggling too. I almost broke character when she started crying about Singapore. My hands froze on the laundry basket. How long do you think we can keep this up? Soleil asked. As long as we need to. She's always been desperate to be needed. Besides, who's going to question a dying woman? They both erupted in laughter that cut through me like broken glass. I stood there in the dark hallway, holding a basket of their clothes, listening to them mock my sacrifice, the Singapore job, my career, my future, all of it thrown away for a lie. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying their laughter over and over. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I was going to watch and wait. "Morning, sweetheart," Mom said when I came downstairs. She was buttering toast, moving with the energy of someone who definitely wasn't dying. "How did you sleep?" "Fine." I poured coffee with steady hands. "How are you feeling today?" "Oh, some days are better than others." She touched her forehead dramatically. "The fatigue is really hitting me this morning. Maybe you should rest. I'll handle breakfast." "You're such an angel." She patted my cheek. "I don't know what I'd do without you." The next few days were an education in just how little my family thought of me. With fresh eyes, I saw everything clearly. Mom's treatments were actually spa appointments with her friend Linda. Her medications were vitamins and supplements. The bad days when she stayed in bed coincided perfectly with her favorite TV shows. Dad came home Tuesday night and dumped his briefcase on the counter I'd just cleaned. "Peyton, can you iron my shirts for tomorrow? The dry cleaner messed up the order." "Sure, Dad." "And maybe meal prep for the week? I've been eating nothing but takeout." I nodded, adding it to the mental list that already included grocery shopping, house cleaning, lawn care, and managing Mom's fake medical schedule. Wednesday, Soleil stopped by during her lunch break. "God, this house looks amazing," she said, surveying the spotless living room. "You've really outdone yourself." "Thanks." "Oh, and can you pick up my dress from the alterations place? I'm too busy to get there before they close." She tossed me the ticket. "It's for the Italy trip next month." "Italy? Didn't I mention? Marcus is taking me to Tuscany for 2 weeks. I know the timing isn't great with Mom being sick, but she insisted I go. Said she wants me to live my life." Soleil examined her manicure. "You don't mind holding down the fort, right?" "Of course not." Thursday evening, I was scrubbing the kitchen floor when I overheard Dad on a work call. No, I can't take on the Morrison account right now. Family situation, you understand. My wife is... well, it's serious." His voice dropped to the perfect tone of a grieving husband. "My daughter moved back home to help, thank God. At least I don't have to worry about the day-to-day stuff." Friday night, they had friends over for dinner. I served and cleaned while they entertained, playing the role of the devoted daughter caring for her dying mother. Mom even managed a few strategic coughs during dessert. "Peyton's been such a blessing," she told their guests. "She gave up this incredible job opportunity to take care of me." "How selfless," Mrs. Patterson cooed. "You raised her right, Robin." "She's always been our responsible one." I smiled and refilled wine glasses invisible in my own home. Saturday morning, I found Soleil's laptop open on the kitchen table. She was upstairs showering, and the screen showed her bank account. The balance made my stomach drop. She had more money than I'd ever seen in one place. And according to the transaction history, most of it came from regular transfers from something called SL Consulting LLC. "Peyton," Mom called from upstairs, "can you bring me some tea and maybe run to the pharmacy? I'm almost out of my pain medication." The pain medication that was actually Tylenol PM. "Coming, Mom." That afternoon, while they were all out, Dad golfing, Mom at her support group, our book club, and Soleil shopping, I went through the house methodically. I found Mom's real medical records in her desk drawer. Clean bill of health from her last physical. I found Dad's credit card statements showing charges for expensive dinners and golf memberships while I bought groceries with my own money. I found Soleil's fake consulting company paperwork hidden in her old bedroom. They weren't just lying to me, they were stealing from me, using me, and laughing about it. Sunday dinner was the final straw. We were eating the pot roast I'd spent 3 hours making when Soleil casually mentioned her promotion. "They're making me senior account manager," she announced. 30% raise. "That's wonderful, honey," Dad said. "You've worked so hard." "Unlike some people, I didn't just give up when things got tough." She glanced at me. "I mean, I know you had to make sacrifices, Peyton, but I couldn't just abandon my career." Mom reached over and squeezed my hand. "Peyton understands that family comes first. She's always been our little caretaker." I looked around the table at their faces, satisfied, smug, completely comfortable with their deception. They thought they had me trapped. The dutiful daughter who would never leave, never fight back, never stop serving them. They were wrong. That night, I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases. I left no note, no explanation, no forwarding address. At 5 a.m., while they were all sleeping off their Sunday wine, I walked out the front door and didn't look back. My phone started ringing before I reached the highway. I let the phone ring 17 times before turning it off. The motel room was exactly what you'd expect for $49 a night: scratchy bedspread, flickering TV, and a view of the parking lot. But it was mine, and nobody was asking me to iron their shirts or pretend their lies were truth. The email came at 8:23 a.m. Subject: urgent opportunity, Meridian Consulting. "Peyton, I know this is unexpected, but we have a situation that requires your specific expertise. Are you available for a call this morning? The compensation would be significant. Best regards, Talon McCoy, Senior Partner, Meridian Consulting." I stared at the screen. Meridian was the firm that had tried to poach me twice in the past year. Big league corporate restructuring, the kind of place that made or destroyed companies before lunch. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Where are you? Your mother is hysterical." I deleted it and called Talon. "Peyton, thank you for calling so quickly." His voice was crisp, authoritative. "I'll cut to the chase. We're acquiring a mid-sized manufacturing firm in Chicago. The transition needs to be handled delicately, and we need someone who understands the local business culture." "What's the company?" "Lane Industries." The phone slipped in my hand. "I'm sorry, what?" "Lane Industries, family-owned operation, about 200 employees. The owner, Bo Lane, has been running it into the ground for years. We're bringing in fresh leadership, streamlining operations. It's going to require some tough decisions." My father's company, the business he'd inherited from his father and spent 20 years slowly destroying through incompetence and ego. "You still there?" Talon asked. Yes, I'm here." The thing is, this isn't just a standard acquisition. The current management has been creative with their accounting. We need someone who can navigate the politics while we clean house, someone who won't get emotionally attached to the existing structure. What kind of creative accounting? Inflated salaries for family members, questionable consulting contracts, expense accounts that would make a senator blush, the usual nepotism nightmare. He paused. "I did my research on you, Peyton. You grew up in Chicago. You know how these family businesses operate. Plus, you've got the spine for difficult conversations." Another text from Mom. "Please come home. We can talk about this." What would my role be exactly? Lead consultant on the restructuring. You'd have full authority to make personnel decisions, restructure departments, eliminate redundancies. The board wants a complete overhaul, and they're willing to pay handsomely for it. How handsomely? 200,000 base, plus bonuses tied to cost savings. Could easily hit 350 if you deliver what we need. More money than I'd ever made. More than enough to start over completely. "There's one more thing," Talon continued. "This needs to happen fast. We're announcing the acquisition Monday. I need you in Chicago by Wednesday to start the assessment." "That's 3 days. I know it's tight, but the current management doesn't know what's coming. We want to maintain the element of surprise. Element of surprise. Dad had no idea his company was being sold out from under him. None of them did. Peyton, what do you say? My phone buzzed again. Soleil this time. Mom's having chest pains. Where the hell are you? Fake chest pains, no doubt. Another performance to guilt me back into line. I'll take it. Excellent. I'll have contracts sent over within the hour. Plan to fly out Tuesday night. We'll put you up at the Marriott downtown. Actually, I'm already in Chicago. Even better. Can you meet me for coffee this afternoon? There are some details we should discuss in person. We met at a Starbucks in the Loop. Talon was exactly what I'd expected. Expensive suit, silver hair, the kind of confidence that came from destroying people's livelihoods for profit. He slid a folder across the table. Lane Industries' financial statements for the past 3 years, he said. Take a look. The numbers were worse than I'd imagined. Revenue declining, overhead bloated, debt climbing. Dad had been coasting on the company's reputation while bleeding it dry. The family members on payroll are particularly interesting, Talon noted, pointing to a highlighted section. Bo Lane, CEO, $200,000. Soleil Lane, marketing consultant, $90,000 for what appears to be part-time work. Robin Lane, administrative advisor, $60,000 for, well, we're not sure what she actually does. My family had been living off the company like parasites while Dad ran it into the ground. What's your timeline for personnel changes? I asked. Immediate. The board wants the dead weight gone within 2 weeks of closing. They're particularly concerned about the consulting contracts. He leaned forward. Between you and me, some of these arrangements look borderline fraudulent. What happens to employees who get terminated? Severance packages, references if they deserve them. We're not monsters, Peyton. We're just not running a charity. My phone buzzed. Another text from Dad. Your mother collapsed. She's asking for you. I showed Talon the message. Family emergency? He asked. Something like that. I closed the folder. When do I start? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp. He stood and extended his hand. Welcome to Meridian, Peyton. I have a feeling you're going to fit right in. As I shook his hand, my phone rang. Mum's number. This time I answered. Peyton, sweetheart, please come home. I'm so sorry about everything. We can work this out. Actually, Mum, I am coming home. Tomorrow, in fact. Oh, thank God. I'll be at Dad's office. We have a lot to discuss. The Meridian offices occupied 3 floors of a glass tower that made Dad's building look like a relic. I walked in wearing my sharpest suit, the one I'd bought for Singapore, and felt like I was stepping into a different version of myself. You must be Peyton. A woman with short auburn hair approached me in the lobby. I'm Mia Graham, senior analyst. Talon asked me to show you around. Nice to meet you. Coffee first, or do you want to dive straight into the carnage? She grinned. Fair warning, this acquisition is going to be messier than most. We took the elevator to the 15th floor. The Meridian offices were all clean lines and modern furniture, the kind of place where million-dollar decisions happened over lattes. So, Lane Industries, Mia said as we walked. What's your connection to Chicago manufacturing? I grew up here. I know how these family businesses work. Good, because this one's a doozy. The owner's been treating the company like his personal piggy bank for years. She handed me a tablet. These are the preliminary findings from our financial audit. The numbers were even worse than what Talon had shown me. Expense accounts for business dinners at restaurants I knew Dad took Mum to for their anniversaries. Company credit cards used for personal shopping. A consulting contract for Soleil that paid her more per hour than most of the actual employees made in a week. The legal team flagged several transactions as potentially fraudulent, Mia continued, especially this SL consulting arrangement, $90,000 a year for what appears to be social media posts and the occasional brochure design. SL Consulting, Soleil's fake company, the one I'd found paperwork for in her bedroom. What's the plan for addressing the fraud? That's where you come in. Talon wants a full personnel review by Friday. Everyone gets evaluated. Performance, necessity, legal exposure. The board wants recommendations for immediate termination, restructuring, and potential criminal referrals. We stopped at a conference room where a man in his 30s was reviewing contracts. King Wells, meet Peyton, Mia said. King's our legal eagle. He'll be handling the messier aspects of this transition. King looked up and smiled. The infamous Peyton. Talon's been singing your praises all morning. Infamous? He said you have the perfect combination of local knowledge and ruthless pragmatism. King gestured to the stack of papers in front of him. I've been going through the employment contracts, and let me tell you, this family has been creative. Nepotism clauses, guaranteed salary increases, termination protections that would make a union boss weep. Can we break them? Oh, absolutely, especially once we document the performance issues and potential fraud. The question is how brutal you want to be. My phone buzzed, a text from Soleil. Dad's freaking out, says someone's been asking questions about the company. Do you know anything? I showed the message to King and Mia. Word travels fast, King said. We haven't even announced the acquisition yet. Small business community, Mia explained. Someone probably noticed our people sniffing around the financials. Another text from Dad. Need to talk to you urgently. Something's happening at work. They're panicking, I said. Good, King replied. Panic makes people sloppy. They'll start making mistakes trying to cover their tracks. Makes our job easier. Talon appeared in the doorway. How's our new team member settling in? Just reviewing the Lane Industries situation, Mia said. Excellent. Peyton, walk with me. He led me to his corner office, which had a view of the entire downtown skyline. I want to be clear about something. This isn't just business for me. Bo Lane has been coasting on his father's reputation for 2 decades while running a good company into the ground. The employees deserve better leadership. What about the family members on payroll? What about them? His voice hardened. They've been stealing from their own company, from their employees' futures. Soleil Lane hasn't done a legitimate day's work in years, and Robin Lane's administrative role appears to consist entirely of planning office parties and ordering lunch. He pulled up a file on his computer. Look at this. The company's profit margin has dropped 60% in the past 5 years, while executive compensation has increased 40%. They're literally bleeding the business dry. My phone rang. Mom this time. Answer it, Talon said. Put it on speaker. Peyton, honey, where are you? Your father is beside himself. Someone from some consulting firm has been asking questions about the business. What kind of questions? Financial records, employee contracts, that sort of thing. Bo thinks someone might be trying to buy the company. Her voice cracked. With everything I'm going through health-wise, this stress is just too much. I looked at Talon, who was smirking. I'm sure it'll work out, Mom. Can you come home? We need to talk as a family. Soleil thinks we should hire a lawyer. A lawyer's not a bad idea. Really? Oh, thank goodness. I knew you'd help us figure this out. You always do. After I hung up, Talon leaned back in his chair. They have no idea, do they? None. Perfect. That gives us the advantage we need. He handed me another folder. These are the termination packages we're prepared to offer. Generous severance, positive references, the works, assuming they go quietly. I opened the folder. The severance amounts were fair, even generous, more than they deserved considering what they'd been doing. And if they don't go quietly, then we let King handle it. Criminal fraud charges, civil suits, public embarrassment, their choice. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a group text to me, Mom, Dad, and Soleil. Dad, family meeting tonight, 7 p.m. We need to discuss the situation at work. Soleil, I'll be there. This is serious. Mom, Peyton, please come home. We need you. I showed the messages to Talon. Well, he said, looks like you're going to have an interesting evening. I didn't go to their family meeting. Instead, I spent the evening in King's office, going through every financial document Meridian had pulled from Lane Industries. What I found made my stomach turn. Look at this, I said, pointing to a series of transfers on King's computer screen. SL Consulting received payments every month for the past 2 years, but there's no corresponding work product. No invoices, no deliverables, nothing. King leaned over my shoulder. That's not even the worst part. Check out these expense reports. He pulled up another file. Company credit card charges for designer handbags, spa treatments, and expensive dinners, all approved by Dad and categorized as business development or client entertainment. This one's my favorite, King said, clicking on a charge from last month. $1,500 at Nordstrom, labeled as professional wardrobe for client meetings. Soleil doesn't even work in the office regularly. Gets better, look at her timesheets. The records showed Soleil billing 40 hours a week, while her social media posts proved she was at yoga classes, brunches, and shopping trips during supposed work hours. This is fraud, I said. Textbook case, and it gets worse. King opened another folder. Your mother's been signing checks as an authorized signatory, but according to the corporate bylaws, she has no legal authority to do so. My phone had been buzzing all evening, 17 missed calls and a string of increasingly frantic texts. Dad, where are you? We're waiting. Mom, Peyton, this isn't like you. Please call. Soleil, seriously, what's your problem? We need to stick together as a family. Dad, I'm driving to your apartment. We need to talk. Soleil, Dad says your place is empty. Where the hell are you? They're losing their minds, I told King. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. He pulled up another document. Speaking of mistakes, take a look at this. It was an email thread between Dad and someone named Marcus Hoffman, dated 3 weeks ago. Bo. The Meridian people have been sniffing around. Someone leaked that they're looking at acquisitions in our sector. We need to clean up the books before they get too deep. Marcus. Dad's response. Already on it. Soleil's handling the SL Consulting paperwork, and Robin's organizing the expense files. If anyone asks, everything was legitimate business expenses. They knew, I said. They've been covering their tracks for weeks. And now we have proof of obstruction. This just keeps getting better. My phone rang. Talon. How's the document review going? He asked. We found evidence they've been trying to hide the fraud. Email trail, the works. Excellent. Are you ready for tomorrow's announcement? Tomorrow. The official acquisition announcement. The moment my family would learn their world was ending. What's the timeline? Press release goes out at 9 a.m. Board meeting at Lane Industries at 10. You'll be introduced as the new transition manager at 11. They still don't know I'm involved? Not a clue. As far as they know, you disappeared into thin air. He chuckled. The look on their faces is going to be priceless. After hanging up, I stared at the evidence spread across King's desk. Years of theft, fraud, and manipulation. My family had been stealing from their own employees while living like royalty. You okay? King asked. Just processing everything. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. These people have been screwing over their workers for years. My phone buzzed with a new message. This time it was a group text that included someone I didn't recognize. Dad. Marcus, we have a problem. Peyton's missing and someone's been digging into our finances. Marcus. How missing? Soleil. Gone. Apartment's empty, won't answer calls. This can't be a coincidence. Mom. She wouldn't betray us. She's family. Dad. Family or not, we need to assume the worst. Start moving money out of the SL accounts tonight. Marcus. Already on it. But if they have forensic accountants, moving money now might make things worse. Soleil. So what do we do? Dad. Pray Peyton doesn't know anything and prepare for war. I screenshot the conversation and sent it to King. "They're moving money," I said. King's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Not anymore, they're not. I'm getting an emergency injunction to freeze all accounts associated with SL Consulting. They just handed us evidence of ongoing financial crimes." "How long will that take?" "I can have it filed within the hour. By morning, every penny they've stolen will be locked down." My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. "Peyton?" The voice was male, unfamiliar. "This is Marcus Hoffman. I'm a friend of your father's." "I don't know who you are." "I think you do. And I think you know exactly what's happening to your family's business." His tone was threatening. "Whatever game you're playing, it ends now." "I'm not playing any games." "Your family is facing serious allegations. They need your support, not your betrayal." "My family lied to me for months. They used me." "They love you. Sometimes families make mistakes, but you don't destroy them over it." King was listening, taking notes. "What do you want?" I asked. "Meet with me tomorrow morning, before any announcements, before any meetings. Let's see if we can work something out." "Work what out?" "Your family's future, your future. Because if this goes public, everyone gets hurt, including you." The line went dead. King looked up from his notes. "Marcus Hoffman. He's been helping them launder money through shell companies. We've been tracking him for weeks. He wants to meet." "Of course he does. He's probably hoping to cut a deal. Maybe flip on your family to save himself." King grinned. "This is perfect. We'll wire you up, get him on record admitting to the fraud." "You want me to wear a wire?" "Unless you have a better idea for getting a confession." My phone buzzed one more time, a text from Mom. "Please, sweetheart, whatever's happening, we can fix it. Just come home." I looked at King. "Set up the wire." The wire was smaller than I'd expected, a tiny device taped under my blazer that King assured me would pick up every word. We met Marcus at a diner on the south side, the kind of place where nobody asked questions, and the coffee was strong enough to wake the dead. Marcus was younger than I'd imagined, maybe 45, with the kind of nervous energy that came from knowing you were in deep trouble. "Thank you for coming," he said as I slid into the booth across from him. "I wasn't sure you would." "What do you want?" "To help your family, and to help you understand what you're really dealing with here." He stirred his coffee with shaking hands. "Meridian isn't just acquiring Lane Industries. They're destroying it. Every employee will be out of work within 6 months." "That's not true." "Isn't it? They've done this 12 times in the past 5 years. Buy a family business, strip it for parts, sell off the real estate, and walk away with millions while the workers get nothing." I kept my voice steady. "What does this have to do with me?" "Your family made some mistakes with the books, yes, but they were trying to keep the company afloat. Your father's been paying employees out of his own pocket for months." "By stealing from the company?" Marcus leaned forward. "By borrowing against future profits. The SL Consulting payments? That was money your sister earned legitimately, just structured differently for tax purposes." $90,000 for part-time social media work? She was developing a complete rebranding strategy, market research, competitive analysis, digital marketing campaigns. The work was real, Peyton. I almost laughed. Soleil's idea of market research was asking her friends which Instagram filter looked better. What about my mother's salary? Administrative oversight. She's been managing vendor relationships, coordinating with suppliers, handling HR issues. Your parents built that company from nothing, and now some corporate vultures want to tear it apart. So what are you proposing? Marcus pulled out a folder. We fight back. I've been working with your family to restructure their debt, clean up the accounting irregularities, and position the company for growth. With the right legal strategy, we can block this acquisition. How? Prove that Meridian obtained their information through illegal means, corporate espionage, bribery, fraud. I have evidence that they've been paying off Lane Industries employees for inside information. This was news to me. King hadn't mentioned anything about paying informants. What kind of evidence? Bank records, email communications, recorded phone calls, enough to tie up this acquisition in court for years. He slid the folder across the table. But I need your help. My help how? You're working for them now, aren't you? Meridian? My blood went cold. What makes you think that? Come on, Peyton. You disappear the same week they start their due diligence? You won't return your family's calls? Either you're working with them or you're the unluckiest person in Chicago. I didn't answer. I'm not judging you, Marcus continued. They probably offered you a lot of money, promised you revenge against your family for whatever grievances you have, but they're using you. Once they get what they need, you'll be just as disposable as everyone else. And what's your alternative? Help us prove Meridian's been operating illegally. In exchange, your family agrees to full financial transparency, legitimate restructuring, and professional management oversight. Everyone keeps their jobs, the company survives, and your family learns from their mistakes. It sounded reasonable, almost too reasonable. What do you need from me? Access to Meridian's internal communications, proof of how they obtained Lane Industries' financial records, evidence of any illegal surveillance or bribery. You want me to spy on my own employer. I want you to expose the truth. Your family made mistakes, but Meridian is the real criminal here. My phone buzzed. A text from King. How's it going? Getting anything useful? I ignored it. There's something else, Marcus said. Your family doesn't know you're working for Meridian. They think you're just struggling with everything that happened. Your mother's been crying for days, thinking she drove you away. My mother lied about having cancer. She was scared. The company's been in trouble for months, and she didn't want you to worry. It was stupid, yes, but it came from love. Love doesn't justify fraud, and corporate greed doesn't justify destroying a family business that employs 200 people. Marcus leaned back. Look, I know your family hurt you, but is revenge worth destroying the livelihoods of innocent workers? Another text from King. Anything yet? We need something concrete. I need time to think about this, I said. We don't have time. The acquisition announcement goes public in 3 hours. Once that happens, the stock price will tank, and your family will lose everything. Maybe they deserve to lose everything. Marcus studied my face. You really hate them, don't you? I don't hate them. I just don't trust them anymore. Fair enough, but ask yourself this. Who benefits from their destruction? Your family loses their business, their employees lose their jobs, and Meridian makes millions. Meanwhile, you get what? A paycheck and the satisfaction of watching your family suffer? He stood up and dropped a 20 on the table. The offer stands. Help us prove Meridian's corruption, and everyone wins. Refuse, and you'll spend the rest of your life knowing you chose money over family. After he left, I sat in the diner for another hour, staring at the folder he'd given me. Inside were bank statements, email printouts, and what looked like surveillance photos of Meridian employees meeting with people I didn't recognize. My phone rang. Talon. How did it go with our friend Marcus? He wants me to spy on you. Talon laughed. Of course he does. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. Good. Let him think he has a chance. It'll make this afternoon's announcement even more satisfying. Talon, is it true that Meridian pays employees for inside information? Where did you hear that? Marcus showed me some documents. Marcus Hoffman is a desperate man facing federal fraud charges. He'll say anything to save himself. Talon's voice hardened. Don't let him get in your head, Peyton. Your family chose their path long before you came along. After hanging up, I looked at the folder again. The evidence looked real, but then again, so had my mother's cancer diagnosis. In 2 hours, I'd be standing in a boardroom, watching my family's world collapse. The question was, did they deserve it? The Lane Industries boardroom hadn't been updated since the 80s. Wood paneling, burgundy carpet, and a conference table that had seen better decades. I stood at the back of the room, watching my family file in with their lawyer, a nervous-looking man who kept adjusting his tie. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Mom clutched his arm, playing the fragile invalid role even now. Soleil wore her most expensive suit, the one she'd charged to the company credit card. "Thank you all for coming," Talon began from the head of the table. "I'm Talon McCoy from Meridian Consulting. As of this morning, Meridian has completed the acquisition of Lane Industries." The color drained from Dad's face. "What? That's impossible. We never agreed to sell." The board of directors voted unanimously last night. The sale was approved by a majority of shareholders. "I am the majority shareholder," Dad said, his voice rising. King stepped forward with a folder. "Actually, you control 43%. Your investors hold the remaining 57%, and they voted to accept Meridian's offer." Mom gripped Dad's arm tighter. "This can't be legal. We have rights." "You absolutely have rights," Talon agreed. "Which brings us to the transition plan. Effective immediately, Lane Industries will be operating under new management structure." Their lawyer finally spoke up. "My clients weren't given proper notice of this meeting. We demand—" "Your clients were notified according to corporate bylaws," King interrupted. "Everything has been done by the book." Soleil was staring at her phone. "The stock price just crashed. It's down 60%. Market volatility is normal during acquisitions," Talon said smoothly. "Now, let's discuss the personnel changes." "Personnel changes?" Dad stood up. "I built this company. My father started it 40 years ago. And it's been losing money for the past 5 years under your leadership." Talon nodded toward me. "Which is why we've brought in someone with the expertise to turn things around." All eyes turned to me as I stepped forward. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet your new transition manager, Peyton." The silence in the room was deafening. Mom's mouth fell open. Dad looked like he'd been punched. Soleil just stared. "Peyton?" Mom whispered. What are you doing here?" "My job." "Your job?" Dad's voice cracked. "You're working for them?" "I'm working for the future of this company." Soleil found her voice first. "You backstabbing bitch. How could you do this to us?" "The same way you did it to me, with lies and manipulation." "We're your family." "Family doesn't fake terminal cancer to trap someone into being their servant." Mom started crying. Real tears this time, not the crocodile tears she'd been using for months. "I can explain that," she said. "I was scared about the business, and You laughed about it, both of you. I heard you on that video call, joking about what a sucker I was." Dad slumped back into his chair. "Peyton, please, we can work this out as a family." "We're not family anymore." I opened my own folder. "We're employer and employees. And as your new manager, I have some concerns about your performance." Talon was smiling. This was exactly what he'd wanted, a public humiliation. "Let's start with the financial irregularities," I continued. "SL Consulting has received $90,000 over the past 2 years for work that was never completed." "That's not true," Soleil protested. "I did marketing work. You posted on Instagram and designed a brochure. That's not worth $90,000. The market rate for fraud is $0 and potential jail time." Their lawyer was frantically taking notes. "Then there's the expense account abuse," I continued. $1,500 at Nordstrom for professional wardrobe, $1,000 at a spa for stress management therapy, $2,000 at restaurants that you took Mom to for your anniversary dinners. Dad's face was red. Those were legitimate business expenses. For what business purpose? Client entertainment, team building, professional development. Which clients? Which team members? What professional skills were developed at the day spa? He had no answer. And Mom, I turned to her, $60,000 a year as administrative advisor for a position that doesn't exist in the corporate structure. I do administrative work, she said weakly. You plan office parties and order lunch. That's not worth $60,000. The room was silent except for Mom's quiet sobbing. Here's what's going to happen, I announced. Effective immediately, all three of you are terminated from Lane Industries. You'll receive standard severance packages and have 30 days to clear out your personal belongings. You can't do this, Dad said. I'll fight you in court. With what money? Your assets are frozen pending investigation of the financial irregularities. Soleil stood up so fast her chair fell over. This is insane. You've lost your mind. I've found my spine. There's a difference. We raised you. We loved you. We gave you everything. You gave me nothing but lies and manipulation, and now you're getting exactly what you deserve. Mom looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I really am sick, Peyton. Not cancer, but I have been having health problems. The stress of the business, the fear of losing everything. I made a terrible mistake, but I'm still your mother. My mother wouldn't have laughed about conning me out of my future. Talon stepped forward. Security will escort you out. Your personal items will be boxed and delivered. As they were led out, Dad turned back to me one last time. You think you've won, but you've just destroyed yourself. Family is all you have in the end, and you threw it away for money. No, I said. I threw it away for self-respect. The door closed behind them, and suddenly the room felt very quiet. Well, Talon said, that went better than expected. But as I watched my family disappear down the hallway, I wondered if Dad might be right about one thing. What exactly had I won? The news vans were parked outside my hotel by evening. Local family business, torn apart by corporate takeover, ran on 3 different channels, complete with interviews of laid-off employees and dramatic footage of Dad being escorted from his own building. My phone hadn't stopped ringing. Reporters, former family friends, even my college roommate wanting to know if the stories were true. I turned it off and ordered room service. The knock on my door came at 9 p.m. It's Mia, a voice called through the door. I opened it to find her holding a bottle of wine and looking concerned. Rough day? She asked, stepping inside. That's one way to put it. She poured 2 glasses and handed me one. The news is calling you everything from a corporate whistleblower to a heartless daughter. How are you holding up? Honestly, I don't know. I took a sip of wine. This morning, I felt like I was finally getting justice. Tonight, I just feel empty. Buyer's remorse is normal after something like this. Is it? Because I keep thinking about what my dad said, about family being all you have in the end. Mia sat down across from me. Can I tell you something? I went through something similar with my own family 5 years ago. Not corporate fraud, but they were stealing from me in other ways. Emotional manipulation, financial abuse, the works. What did you do? I cut them off, completely. And for about a year, I felt exactly like you do right now, empty, guilty, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. And then I realized I wasn't mourning my family. I was mourning the family I'd always wanted them to be. The loving, supportive people I'd imagined they were underneath all the toxicity. Another knock interrupted us. This time it was King, looking unusually serious. Sorry to bother you, but we have a problem, he said. Marcus Hoffman just held a press conference. He turned on the TV. Marcus stood behind a podium, flanked by my parents and Soleil. The Lane family has been the victim of a coordinated attack by Meridian Consulting, Marcus was saying. We have evidence that Meridian used illegal surveillance and bribery to obtain confidential financial information. The camera panned to show Dad stepping up to the microphone. My daughter Peyton was coerced into betraying her own family, he said, his voice shaking with emotion. Meridian exploited her temporary anger over a family misunderstanding and turned her into a weapon against us. Temporary anger? I said to the TV. Family misunderstanding? Soleil took the microphone next. Peyton has always been unstable, jealous of my success, resentful of our parents' love. Meridian found her at a vulnerable moment and manipulated her into this revenge fantasy. I felt Mia's hand on my shoulder. My sister needs help, Soleil continued, tears streaming down her face. Professional help, and we're prepared to forgive her if she comes forward and tells the truth about Meridian's illegal activities. The reporter asked a question I couldn't hear, and Mom stepped forward. I love my daughter, she said. I made mistakes as a mother, yes. I was overprotective, maybe too demanding, but I never stopped loving her. And I know that deep down, she still loves us too. King muted the TV. They're trying to flip the narrative, make you look like the villain and them like the victims. Will it work? Depends on what evidence Marcus actually has. If he can prove Meridian did anything illegal, it could complicate things. My phone, which I'd turned back on, started buzzing with notifications. Text messages, missed calls, social media mentions. I scrolled through a few. Saw the news. Your family seems really hurt. Maybe you should talk to them. Sarah. Girl, your sister is dragging you on Twitter. Might want to check that out. Jessica. Is it true you're working for the company that destroyed your dad's business? That's cold even for you. Mike. They're winning, I said. Everyone thinks I'm the monster. Does it matter what everyone thinks? Mia asked. Doesn't it? Let me ask you this. If you could go back and change what you did, would you? I thought about it. Really thought about it. The months of being their unpaid servant. The lies about Mom's cancer. The laughter when they thought I couldn't hear. The years of being taken for granted, overlooked, used. No, I said. I wouldn't change it. Then you have your answer. King's phone rang. He answered, listened for a moment, then hung up with a grin. That was Talon. The FBI just arrested Marcus for wire fraud. Turns out his evidence against Meridian was fabricated. Bank records were forged, emails were doctored, the whole thing was fake. What does that mean for my family? It means their credibility just went down the toilet. And it means the fraud charges against them are sticking. The TV showed breaking news. Attorney arrested in Lane Industries case. Fabricated evidence alleged. I watched my family's faces as reporters shouted questions at them. Dad looked confused. Mom was crying again. And Soleil was screaming at someone off camera. They're on their own now, King said. My phone rang. An unknown number. Don't answer it, Mia warned. But I did anyway. Peyton? It was Dad, his voice barely a whisper. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I need you to know something. What? I'm proud of you. I almost dropped the phone. What? You're stronger than I ever was. Stronger than I raised you to be. And maybe we deserved what happened today. Dad, I have to go. The lawyers want to talk to us about plea deals. But Peyton? Whatever happens next, you're going to be fine. You always land on your feet. He hung up. I set the phone down and looked at Mia and King. So what now? I asked. Now you decide what kind of person you want to be going forward, Mia said. You can't go back to being their daughter, but you can choose who you become next. I walked to the window and looked down at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was probably huddled together, planning their next move, figuring out how to survive without the safety net they'd built from lies and stolen money. And for the first time in my life, that wasn't my problem to solve. I think, I said, I want to be someone who builds things instead of tearing them down. Good choice, King said. Because Talon wants to offer you a permanent position, head of ethical restructuring, help companies clean up their acts instead of destroying them. I smiled. It felt strange on my face after everything that had happened, but it felt real. Tell him yes. Outside, the news vans were packing up, moving on to the next story. By tomorrow, most people would forget about the Lane family drama, but I would remember. Not as the daughter who destroyed her family, but as the woman who finally chose herself. And that was enough.